Hey everyone, just getting this set up. So we just got started with a little bit of music there. I'm just going to get started as usual. Just let some people filter in, make sure that you can see and hear me and all that. And yeah, let's just see. I've got the live chat up here. Cool. Just making sure that everything's set up right. Just keep listening to this for a moment and then you can let me know if you can see and hear me, and then we'll just sort of get right into this. Just getting all my stuff loaded up. Perfect. So we'll listen to this one in full. This was just the first one that I pulled out of the bucket. Just making sure, yeah, I'm in focus, everything's fine. Weird thing about my streaming software is it usually tells me I'm not live when I am, so I've got a couple of windows here. But anyway, this is all good. I'm glad it's working. So if you've not been here before, welcome. But I see there's a lot of tracks in here from people that have submitted in past weeks. You can see we've got loads and loads here. I'll just show you the screen. This is why we're using Boombox. It puts them all in one place for me. What this is going to be is a bit of a feedback session, a bit of a mixing session. Usually I pull up loads and loads of plugins while we're listening to people's music, and we try to all sort of chip in and give some good advice. I say this at the start of every stream, so sorry if you've heard this before, but what makes these really special is not just that I'm giving feedback, because I'm just one person. What makes it really special is everybody in the chat chiming in and giving their advice on maybe the arrangement, the mixing, the production, sound design, anything, you name it, because together we can really, really develop some artists here, and it's cool. Seeing week by week or month by month people coming back with improved mixes. It's amazing seeing people's trajectory through these streams. So yeah, I'm just going to take, I guess I should explain for anyone that's completely new. We have the bucket, which is infamous. I've decided I'm going to keep this one for as long as it lasts. I'm not going to replace it. What we have in here are about maybe 150 tracks that were in the folder. So throughout the stream, I'm just going to be pulling names out of here, just one at a time, and I'll add them to the queue. And along with that, if you're just submitting, the names in there are people that have submitted until about half an hour ago. But if you're just submitting during this stream, I'll ask at times in the chat for you to, what's the word? For you to type in your artist name and track name, and then I can pull it up. But there's a lot of people, and so I'll tell you when I want you to type in the chat like that. But in the meantime, you can chat away, say whatever you want. So what we're going to do is we'll listen to this one. It's the first one that I've pulled out of the list. And as we're listening, I'm going to pull a few names out of the bucket, and we're all just going to take a good listen to this and see how we would help them improve this mix. Okay? Here we go. And do let me know as well if the, you know, if it's far too loud, the track compared to my voice, just let me know. I can adjust everything, of course, and we can just settle in now. So, you know, grab yourself a drink or a snack or something. We'll be here for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we'll try and have some fun with it. Here we go. Get the first name out of the bucket. So this was Ocean Acid. That's the one I'm going to pull up, add to the queue. There we go. And this next one is Winter. And then in the chat, if you write down the track you've submitted and your artist name, I'll pull one more up from the chat. Okay, cool. I'll just pause that for a moment while I grab one more track from here. I'll say initially I really loved the groove. I wasn't so sure about the bass, but I really liked the groove in this section here. And then I wasn't so sure about those sort of vocal chops, but we'll get into that in a moment. So I see one here. We've got Scarletti by Classy. So that's what I'm going to choose. Cool. That's all for now. We've got a couple in the queue. If you see here, that's enough to get us started. And we'll really dig into this track now. So we've taken a really good listen to it. I'm going to jump ahead because I think we've heard the start quite a lot, and we'll just see what we might change with the arrangement, sound design. You know, initially this bass, I think the bass sounded a little bit simplistic. It didn't really match the rest of the groove. So let's take a listen to that. Hit the volume down a touch. Yeah, it's a very sort of mid-bass sound, and when I got to this section here, this whole section, the groove is just lovely to me. So I'm going to add that there. Oh, groove. I love that bass. I think that bass line really suits this track. This bass, however, I think it just doesn't bounce as much as that second bass does. Let's take a look. I know what's bothering me. So it's all fine, sound design's fine, but you've got that low, that subby bass that's nice and bouncy, and this is almost like a mid-bass synth. And I just feel that they don't gel together super well. So I'd probably just say either like work on, let's take a listen, I'll type something out. Yeah, I feel that those two are not quite gelled together. So I think what you could try instead is maybe take that bass out, but duplicate your nice subby sort of bass guitar layer, and then maybe saturate that layer to try and bring some mid-bass back in. Just like you've got in this section here, you could just add a bit of saturation to the top of the bass, and then it would kind of fill in that for you. I love the guitar as well. Everyone's loving it though. Everybody loves the groove. This guitar is just amazing. You need to lean into that more. I love how the guitar layers work with each other. They're really laid back. They're really easy. When I say lean into that guitar more, I don't necessarily mean make it louder, but maybe we could fit it somehow in the mix. Maybe like a touch of reverb or like a really quiet slapback delay. Nothing to make it super spacious. What do we think? People are saying the music's a little bit quiet, so I'll turn it up. No worries. Let's jump ahead. Let's see where this track goes. I like what you're trying to do to keep it interesting. I hear there's loads and loads of ear candy, and there's nothing really wrong with that. I don't know, myself in the chat, I think we really just love the groove of this section, that I think it might be better to try and see what you can do by locking down those layers, making them sound really good. And then, sorry, phone's trying to connect. Locking down those layers, making them sound good, and maybe do away with that mid bass and some of the other vocal stuff that's going on. It's like you've got lots and lots of layers, and then at one point they're all playing together and they don't quite work. But I do like all of those layers individually. So yeah, and people are loving the vocals as well. I need to check that I'm seeing all, missing all, I'm only seeing the top chat. So let me see all the messages. Okay, great. There's loads more now. Yeah, people are loving it. So this was fun. I'm going to jump ahead to the next one, but you'll see already this is what I'm going to be doing, adding comments as we go. Let's jump to, why is it not letting me go back? Here we go. I've learned if I press back on my browser, it's going to clear the whole queue, which would be a disaster. So this next song is, and that was, by the way, Bars Antone Pomid. That was their name. So thank you for that. That was a lot of fun. This next one, and a great track to get us started, is good energy. This next track is called Ocean Acid. So yeah, let's see this. I like the waveform because it lets me sort of anticipate how loud this is going to be. Okay, something very different here. Oh yeah. That's kind of cool. I like a lot of the sound design. I think the drums, especially the snares, feel very lost, and maybe the drums are not commanding the mix enough, but I really like the way things are opening up, closing down. I'll skip ahead to here. Yeah. You know what I think this could do with, though? Really simple is, I'll try to show you this with an EQ. And by the way, I know in previous streams people have said, you know, could I maybe just use a free plugin? This plugin Nova can do everything I'm going to show you on ProQ. It's just that ProQ is a much easier interface for these streams, but I'm not sponsored by either company. I can assure you of that, okay? Although it would be cool if FabFilter noticed me. Basically, what we've got here is, I'm just going to grab let's see what I'm going to do. Side EQ. I think it would be really cool if this, I might not even be able to show you this with EQ, but what I'm imagining here is that right now the track sounds very wide and spacious, but I think it'd be cool if the track sort of went away, was almost mono, and then opened up all of a sudden with those synths, and then maybe cut back and sounded quite central, so that when things do open up, you really notice it and they surround you. So I'm going to try to I'm going to see what I can do here, to be honest. Like, if it can open up. This is a bit crazy, but hopefully what you can hear there, although it's a bit silly, you would never do this with an EQ, hopefully you just do it in the mix, is that you just make things narrow, and then when they open up, it's gonna sound so much wider. Because I was thinking initially maybe you could mess around with the sidechain a little bit more, and have the drums take away all those synths, but that would just be a typical stereo sidechain. But I think you could do something with making the mix a lot narrower, then opening up wide. I know I've said that a few times, but yeah. Let's take a listen though to the whole thing. I'll reset this EQ so we're not doing anything silly. I'm going to pull up the drums though, just to show you what that would sound like. I really think this would help a ton on this track. So mainly the snare. The snare is actually so quiet that this is not really able to grab it. And I don't think Reviver will be able to do it either. But let's dig around with the EQ and I'll try to show you. I know we're a little bit all over the place here, but sometimes it takes a while when mixing to really try to find out what's going on. So here, with the snare, there's just not a whole lot of the top of the snare here. Hopefully it'll come back. In general, there's not a whole lot in the top range there, but especially with the snare, I feel like the snare sample just needs to go up, but also the treble in the snare, and then it should cut through and sound a little bit better, I think. Let's see what's going on with the chat. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. This is, I've said this in previous streams, I usually don't like any tracks that sound sort of watery or aquatic in any sense, but this one's really cool. I'm enjoying it. So thanks for sharing that one with us. I'm going to get on to the next one. I'll open up the queue again. So this next one is, I want to find a track that I can really dig into. So this one is Jekyll Winter. Really like this one. Nice. I'm just going to fade it away, but we're going to come back and enjoy that in a moment. I really like how you let the track just sort of breathe during the intro. That was really cool. There's lots of little things I'm going to dig into with the mix here, but this is a lot of fun, and I like how melodically and harmonically interesting this is. The chords at the start, if I remember, these sounded quite safe, and then around here you started, I'll get rid of that, you started making things a little bit more interesting, dare I say jazzy, and you know, usually that sort of stuff catches me off guard and I don't like it. It usually sounds a bit discordant or dissonant, but in this case I thought, you know, that lots of those sounded quite interesting and quite mature. Overall though, let's dig into this. I don't want to clarify this up. I don't want to clarify it too much, but let's dig in, get a little bit of clarity and a little bit more punch out of these drums. So you'll see me load up a bunch of plugins. If you've got any questions about what I'm doing, just throw them in the chat as well. I can see I've got the live chat loaded on my second screen here on my laptop. So let's dig in. Enough talking from me. And also let me know if it's too quiet, of course. It takes me a minute to get the volume right on these streams. So I'm going to go back to this section and I'm going to start with all the plugins turned on, and I'm trying to find a way to arrange these on the screen that makes any sense. This master rebalance is just trying to bring the level of the drums up. I wouldn't actually apply this to a master, but it's the only real way to do it on these streams. This Pro Q is cleaning up a little bit of mud in the, well, I guess sort of like low mids and sort of upper bass. And then Reviver is trying to add a little bit more snap to the drums. So not really thinking about increasing their volume, but thinking more about increasing their punch. So I'll start with them all turned on, and then I'll turn them off. We'll take a couple of listens before and after. I love this guitar so much. I think we could do a little bit more to distort that guitar. I'm going to split this into stems so that I can take a really good listen. And as we do that, we'll just take a chat about this processing because I've got some questions coming in here, I think. Cool. I think generally people are agreeing about the drums. You should hear quite a big difference before and after. It's difficult. I need to find a way to bypass them all together. I'm sure there's actually a shortcut key for this, but having those three turned on, the drums were just much more present in the mix. Everything had a little bit more attitude, I suppose. I use that word a lot, but I think it's a good word when relating to mixing. Things just felt like they had a bit more attitude. So Boombox here, this is on Boombox, it's separating this into stems. So it'll just be a moment and then I'll move all these plugins out. Yeah, that's what I used to do on the other streams. I'd put them over like that. People are asking, can we submit music right now? Absolutely you can. Even if you didn't get it in before the stream started, put your track into the folder, the link's in the description, and I can still pull it up if you get lucky. Cool, so let's take a listen to these drums on their own, and then I want to dig into that guitar. Yeah, let's pull these up with let's get a compressor on here. Yeah, I'll get, do I have Kotelnikov? That's free. Let's use this. Nice. So a bit more slow attack, right? So we let those transients get through. We'll fast release. Let's just slam them. Let's do a lot of compression here. And then we'll blend it in. Okay, this is getting a bit silly, but it's fun. And then turn this on and off. They're cool. Sorry. So that turns it. Oh, it's cool. I can actually play the track with everything. So that shows you just with a little bit of compression like that dialed in. I need to make this interface a little bit bigger for everyone. Give us a second. What have I got? Graphics. Ah, that's better. Lovely. So basically, just a slow attack, letting the start of the drums through, quick release, just a ludicrous amount of compression going on. You can see 10 dB, and then I'm just blending it in. So adding a bunch of makeup gain, blending it in. It's all by feel, really. You'd have to adjust this when listening to the rest of the mix, but I feel what that would do is it is going to bring the transients up in the drums, which is what Reviver was trying to do, but it's also just going to bring the level of everything in the drum tracks up. It's just going to be pulling up some of the noise floor, which is actually okay. Like it's going to be adding to the tone and the texture of those drums. So this is a great free compressor. It's just TDR Kotelnikov. I started using this one maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, but I'll admit I haven't opened it up in about a year or so, but you see how easy it is to use. All the controls are just there, so no worries. Let's take a listen to the instruments, because that guitar was just sounding so cool. So it's hard to hear them out of context. If I go back to this track, what I think the guitars need, although if there's any, guitarists in here, I think you could, I wouldn't say like overdrive them, but just drive them a little bit more. I think it would really help them cut through. I'm going to try to find their spot in the mix. I'll take this down. Here we are. Sounds so good. But I think the guitars, they sort of jump up and down a little bit. So what I would do with that main guitar is add some compression so that those notes sustain. Although it's possible that the way it was played, they don't have much sustain. And then I just think a bit of drive, some kind of dash of verb or something, and I think that would just sound so majestic. Yeah, a lot of people are saying add some distortion on the guitars. I can't I can't do that in the mix, but you know, you've got the stems, so try that. And don't worry about what type of distortion it is. Just try everything. Tape, tube, you know, anything you've got, just try it. Even if you don't have the pedals or anything, just load up a bunch of plugins, and it'll be all good. Something that San is mentioning in the chat is actually that the guitars could use some rhythmic changes, syncopation slides to keep it interesting. That's great feedback, actually. I didn't think of that. So I'm going to jump ahead just to see if there is any more variation further in the track. Okay, so because it's a MIDI guitar, you'll just have to work to do a bit more programming on it. So what I like is, you know, even though it's a MIDI guitar, you've got a great melody there. This is what I was feeling was missing. I wasn't feeling like the tone in sort of like the fingers of the player, and that's why the sustain isn't holding the way I thought it would. I think if you were playing this on a guitar, you'd naturally let those notes ring out. You probably wouldn't be muting them. Whereas I think in your piano roll, you're probably playing individual notes and then they're sort of cutting themselves off and muting themselves. I think that's what's going on here, but this is really, really cool. I mean, I know it wasn't live recorded, but it's good to get some more acoustic or, more, I hate saying real, but, you know, something that's recorded with traditional instrumentation, because we've been missing that in some of the streams. So thank you. This was really, really fun. Let me go back into our folder, and we'll go to this next track. And as I let this play, I'm going to ask for some more names from the chat, and I'm going to pull some out of the bucket. We'll put 4 or 5 more on the queue, because this is the last one in our queue. But just while I do that, I'll get this playing. This looks like it's going to be nice and loud. It's cool. Right, I see Fahrenheit higher, so I'm going to add that. It's not gonna... This next one's called Time. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. I'll just pause this for a second. Now, if you stop writing in the chat now, I'll just add a few more that I see in the chat. And I'll keep this track playing though, because it's cool. I see 7 stars, so let's add that. Nice. So I'm just going to show everyone the queue just for a moment. So we got another 4 or 5 in the queue there. We have Higher, we have Time, 7 stars, and Fade Away by Kidder, who actually was in a previous stream and they won a free mastering session from me, which we're still in the process of doing. I put too much on my plate. But yeah, let's jump into this track because this is seriously, seriously cool. It was a great one to just have playing while we were listening to everything. Why did I not have this on this screen? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll show you the queue again. Just a typical live streaming blunder by myself. So we have Higher, Time, 7 stars, and Fade Away by Kidder. Sorry that you had to just look at me for that section here. So this track here that we're listening to, Clazy, Scarletti, correct version, importantly. This was beautiful. I loved the fade, the sort of, I love that build up. It was a great one to listen to while we were picking tracks. So let's now dig in. I'll make sure that none of my effects are turned on. They're all turned off. That's great. People are loving this track, by the way. I hope that comes across. Often my, I'll show you my face when I'm enjoying tracks. It looks like I'm disgusted, but I'm thoroughly, thoroughly impressed, I can assure you. Oh yeah. Excellent low end. Synths are really, really clean. Hi-hats could be a little bit louder maybe, but it's really clean. I love it. So I was trying to use this mid EQ band to sort of make the hi-hats cut through, but it was making the synths too bright. So then what I'm going to do is use Reviver. I'll resize this a little bit because it's the only thing we're going to be using on the screen. What I'll do here is I've sort of beefed up the low end a little bit. Not that it needs it, but it just sounds fun, especially in headphones. And then the high band, as I turn this up, listen to the hi-hats start to jump out of the mix a bit. I'll turn it too far and we'll take a listen, right? This is my own plugin, by the way. I'll go over here. You can grab a copy of it on this. See what, I need to get rid of that. I'll show you this in a moment. No worries. Let's dive in here. So take a listen to the hi-hats. So that's too far. And then what I'm going to try to do, hopefully you could hear the before and after there, I'm going to try to clean up the mid-range just a touch, but I don't want to pull all of that energy out of the mid-range. I don't want it to sound like busy or anything like that. Oh, these synths are awesome. Hold up. So I'll turn these off. Just amazing. Turn this down a bit. I don't even want to pause it. This just sounds magical, like really, really lovely stuff. As you can see with the processing I've got here, I am really, I'm sort of splitting hairs here. None of this stuff needs to be done. I'm really just thinking maybe a nudge here, a nudge there. Some of the tracks we really dig into. Some of the tracks just need a little bit of a nudge here. I mean, I would also say maybe things are getting a little bit repetitive, but it is like a 6-minute long edit. and that's fine. I would say it's just evolving slowly. I'm not really getting tired of anything. I'm gonna read some of the chat and see. Okay, I'm just gonna ask everyone. I don't have a slow mode on, so please make sure if you are spamming the chat at all, I'll just add the slow mode on, or I will time you out. So just make sure that everybody can talk. Okay, let me just see what everyone is saying about this. If anyone's got any feedback, please throw it in the chat so that we can help this person. And if you're here, if you're here, which I think you are, let us know where we can listen to more of your music, because this just sounds amazing. Is this released? Is this something you're still working on? I'd love to know. Okay, I'm just gonna time you out. 1 second. I just need to time someone out here. No worries. I'm just going to put the music back on for a second while I do a little bit of admin. That's perfect, honestly. I don't really want to change anything. It evolves, new elements come in every now and again. But, you know, for people that are maybe struggling with arrangement in these longer tracks, this is how I do it. Just let something sit for 4, 8, 16 bars and then just add another element in slowly. I would say with the synths, you know, you've got the more constant synths or saws, and then you've got the one playing the melody. Maybe try cutting some mid bass from one of them. So either the one that's constant, I'll take a little bit of mid bass away and let the mid bass of the melody just sort of envelop the track, or do it the other way around, where you keep the one that's constant a little bit more solid, and then you make the melody that comes in a little bit more airy and a little brighter, perhaps. It might just give the track some more contrast, but if you do it and things are sounding separate, just undo it and don't worry about that. Let's just hear how this track finishes, and then we'll get on to the next one. But this is super, super fun. Put these plugins over there because we don't really need them. Oh, that's cool. Super, super cool. That's 10 out of 10. Everyone in the chat is pretty much in agreement. Very little they do to change it. There was a good comment though that maybe you could potentially put a low pass filter on some of the, sorry, my phone's trying to connect to this live stream for some reason. You could try putting a low pass filter on those sort of constant chords just to see. But honestly, all of this is just, this is all just, you know, splitting hairs. Fantastic, fantastic job. We really, really enjoyed that. Thank you for sharing that with us. We'll get on to the next track. And I think, you know, one thing that people were asking for the most is like, if you could make a breakdown of that track and put it on YouTube, that'd be really cool. People would love to know how you made it, how you were programming it, what your workflow is, how do you approach music production, that sort of thing. Here's a look at the queue again. So we got higher, time, 7 stars, and then Kidder, and then we'll go look for some more tracks. Cool. There's some names in the chat that I recognize, so let me just take the volume down and I'll fade this up. mean, my first thought is like maybe put the vocals up a touch, but I also kind of like that they're buried there. I'll just see what happens if I throw the vocals up with master rebalance. Just want to see if that sounds cool. And on. Okay, I mean, it doesn't sound perfect because this is just a weird sort of spectral processing here, but I think even putting the vocals up 3 or 4 dB definitely didn't ruin the depth of the track. So I think those vocals could be pushed a little bit higher. No worries. And then what I want everyone to listen to on this EQ, you won't hear this. This is just for my sake. This is so that the stream doesn't get sort of blown out on the low end. This is, I'll let you listen to the frequencies and then I'll just turn it on and off. An EQ paints 1,000 words, you know, there's no point me talking about it. Let's take a listen. I'm reducing a bit of that resonance there. I want to pull this out of the synth, so a bit more of this. And then on the sides here, just the sides of the top of the vocal. Beautiful. I mean, I think this kind of makes it sound a little bit more like a record. It sort of makes it fit a little bit in more into what a listener would expect to hear, with a little bit more treble because it's quite a dark track. But also you don't have to do this because the track has a sort of dark, subdued energy to it, and that's completely fine. This is the thing about art, you know, it can, without sounding all cheesy, this can be whatever you want it to be. But what I do in my day job when I'm not doing YouTube is just I'm trying to help artists make the songs sound the way that they want it to sound, like their favorite records. So usually the aim of mastering with me is like, how can we take one of their songs and sort of end up making it sound like a record, like something they remember listening to as a kid or something. And we'll get back to this track in just a second, but this is sort of a good place to explain. In my day job, I'm using Boombox. It's great for mixing and mastering engineers, but to be honest, it's more useful for artists because it's a place, the way I think about it is it's sort of better file storage than, say, Google Drive, Dropbox, but it's also better messaging than using emails, iMessage, WhatsApp. So it puts everything in one place and your distribution. So I'll show you some of this in a moment, but this will ruin the cue here. Just take a look at it. But I use this for all of my work with artists. Obviously, you've seen me use the timestamped comments. They can also reply to me. We have these password protected folders so they can upload their mixes. I can send them masters, any stems, projects, FLP files, Ableton sessions. It all just goes in there, stores all the files safely, and it helps me deliver their masters to them. There's also a whole load of other tools, but I'm warning, the screen is going to go bright here. So if anyone's watching late at night, you've been warned. This is a special offer that Boombox have for us. They sort of support these streams. This is an exclusive discount for anyone watching. It's the top link in the description. It lets you, you can get a free Boombox account, but if you want to use one of the paid plans that gives you access to all of these advanced features, you can check the link and see this all for yourself. But you get your first month free and you get 30% off each month for a year. And of course, if it's just not for you, if you don't enjoy it and get value out of it the way I do, every day, every week, then you can just cancel anytime. But this is an exclusive offer. You're not going to find a better offer for Boombox. This is the first link in the description down below this live stream. And that's available now and also after the stream. So you can keep watching the stream and come back to it. But thank you very much to Boombox for putting that together for our community. And I will say that link is an affiliate link. I want to be totally honest with that. If you sign up, I'll also get a kickback. It doesn't cost any more to you, but it helps support everything I'm doing on the channel and these live streams. But anyway, let's get back to they also have someone's asking about phone. They also have a mobile app. It's a really comprehensive system. It sort of replaced a lot of other file storage and messaging systems I use. I just try to do everything on Boombox now. So it's a lot of fun for me. I wouldn't be promoting it unless it was something that I used every single day in my work. You know what I'm like. Let's listen to the second part of this song because, to be honest, I'm just completely enjoying it. I'll just do more of a high boost. Great song, but just like the chat is saying, I'd put the vocals up 2, 3, 4 dB. Don't be afraid of that. The vocals sound nice and wide with that reverb. Once you raise the volume up that far, you might have to take the reverb down a little bit. Sometimes when you push things up on a bus, depending on how you've set up your reverb, you know, if you push the vocals up, the vocals will go up, but so will the reverb a ton. So like 4 dB might feel like a 6 or 7 dB increase once you've got the vocals and the reverb up. So just be careful with that. If I say 4 dB, you might have to take the reverb down a touch, but you know this. Really good song. I enjoyed that. Let's jump to the next one. I'll reset this EQ so we're not applying this to the next one. Where are we here? So this next track is Time. Final master, which is always very optimistic. I'll take the volume down and I'll slowly blend it up for everybody. Final master. Because it says final master, we have permission to be as harsh as we want with this one. I'm going to jump ahead a bit. In this section, I would say I like what you're doing to try and make things interesting. The lead going from the right ear and then the call and answer between the right and left ear sounds like a little bit too much for me. I would probably prefer if those leads were centered. Maybe if both of them were wide, maybe even like some sort of Hass delay or a sort of doubling. Both a nice wide sound, but I feel that left-right was just quite a lot for me. Everything sounded quite transient, which is good, but some of the drums sounded like they were poking above the mix quite a lot, which might cause issues on certain playback devices. It might cause things to sound like they're clipping or to be quite harsh. Yeah, there's a sort of wood block sound or a click, something in place of the snare. That's definitely poking several dB above the mix. So if that was your mastered file, if someone sets the volume, that's probably going to jump out on headphones. Let's jump ahead in the mix a little bit. There's just a few things to work on. Yeah, a lot of these synths are sounding quite thin, this sort of supportive synth here. There's something eating up a lot of mid-range here, but it doesn't feel like the synths. It feels like you have a pad that's taking up a lot of this sort of low-mid sound, and then your synths are very thin, sort of as though you've just, let's find this. It sounds like you've done this on a lot of your synths, but then you have a pad filling in this lower end, and I would honestly say maybe cut the pad away a lot and just bring some of that low end back to your synthesizers. I think that would probably go a long way in making the track sound, I don't know, a little bit more confident maybe. People are agreeing about the click. It's not just my headphones here. These are very sensitive. These headphones have a great sensitivity, so usually anything like that is going to stick out on these. Although for dynamic stuff, I much prefer working on the studio monitors. I don't master everything in headphones. I use my studio monitors because they really show you everything. Let's jump ahead just a little bit because I think that's quite a lot for you to work on here, given that it's the final master. I'll take the volume down and then we'll build it up. Having the kick and the snare on the same beat is probably not as effective and groovy as having the kick on every, what's that, like basically 4 on the floor, and then having the snare on every second one is going to just make the listener move a little bit more, as opposed to keeping them both together. They're both together. So I think that sort of the arrangement here, pull the pads, and I would add notes, but I've already said it. So pull the pads out of this section and take the high pass filter off the synths. And then in this area, I would work on making sure that the mix is not too transient. Usually people have problems with things not being dynamic enough. This actually sounds very dynamic in this section. So that should give you quite a lot to work on. Just going to reset this. We'll jump to the next track. But thank you for submitting that. That was fun. That was one from the chat that was just submitted now. Let me see what's on this list. So 2 more. And oh, someone in the chat is saying maybe his maybe their artist name was Final Master, which would be a bit of a plot twist, actually. I also want to say, you know, tell you what, I'll just pull this here. We'll listen to the next track in a second. I'm never trying to be harsh with this stuff, but it's good when myself and the community are quite honest, because that's the only way that people are going to be really brought up. There's some tracks that are great, but when things need a little bit of work, it's better that we all feel comfortable actually saying how we feel and being honest about it, instead of giving false praise, which is not going to help that artist. But at the same time, I appreciate how crazy it is and how vulnerable it is to, sorry, my thing's trying to connect here. I appreciate how vulnerable it is to be sharing your music, especially if you're new to this or it's a new genre. So I don't want to put anyone off. We're really trying to help as much as we can here, but I know that it must be daunting to submit your music and have it played on these sorts of streams. So I appreciate everyone that's submitting. Let's go. My phone keeps trying to connect to the live stream, which is super annoying. Let's play this track. I have no idea. ARP Mules, 7 stars. I guess that's how you say that one. Cool. It's a nice cold pad to get it started. That's nice. It's crunchy distortion on there. I'm making sure that I don't have any plugins loaded up. What's the volume like as well? Let me know. Oh yeah. I was wondering where this was going. I'll admit I'm not as much a fan of that lead that just came in there as the rest of it, but wow, this is really, really cool. I was wondering how you were going to bring a beat into that, and it exceeded my expectations. This was really, really cool. I'm so sorry. I love when you when you use automation to, what's the word? It's just a filter automation. I can never remember the name of it. I love when you do that. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. So that synth there, I know this is work in progress. And by the way, for a lot of beginners, WIP means work in progress. I know a lot of people were actually asking about that in previous streams. If you don't know, you wouldn't know. That last synth there, I think, let's see, the notes are not bad. I think in terms of sound design, it sits and jumps right out of the mix. It's not like it's too harsh. It's just like it's too loud, not reverbed, maybe not smooth enough. Yeah. And by the way, the reason I'm using a bit of sort of spectral dynamics here is just because during this build, these resonant notes just felt a little loud to me. But when they're played in the context of the mix, they actually don't sound too loud at all, and I didn't like the spectral EQ I'd applied. So I think what you're doing, because it's a work in progress, is you've mixed it here, and then when the sound is playing earlier on in the track here, I think the lead, that melody just jumps out a bit. So maybe apply a little bit of spectral EQ for the first half here, and then just sort of turn down the mix and then let it... This is quite common with guitar processing, where sometimes, you know, if you've got a guitar here, you have to, you can't have it be too bright, you've got to let it have a bit of body, but then once you're in the chorus, you know, the guitar actually needs a big treble boost, you need to cut the low end, and it's crazy how much you need to mix things differently at different parts of the song, and that's where automation comes in. You could have an EQ turned on at this start, and then turn the EQ off later. Really, really cool. Let's just see what the chat is saying. People really love it. They're saying it's good night driving music. People love the beat. Yeah, the LFO. That's what I'm looking for. Thanks, guys. The gate or LFO. I just love love that sort of wub. I love it so much. I'm just enjoying myself. Let's just play this. Really great use of distortion as well. It sounds like there's a little bit too much distortion on my end, and I'm wondering if I've got something turned on here. I don't. That could be causing a little bit more distortion. Maybe there is just distortion in the track, and that's cool. This is turned off. I'm going to set this back to default. Cool. Let's jump ahead a bit. Okay, let's go to the breakdown. I'll skip ahead just a touch. Oh no, this is nice. Let's just enjoy. I will say that it does sound at times like it's a little bit too much going on later on. I think I would strip away one or two ideas. It does sound too distorted to me, that's just my opinion. A little bit too much distortion. So I'm going to skip the breakdown because this is, I would say, everything's like subjective, but I would say objectively there's far too much distortion there. There's nothing else on my output. I think it's just clipping the output. I think this has just been mastered really, really loud, perhaps. This is just far too much distortion, but earlier I liked the way you were playing with distortion there. And in this section here, I just think it just becomes a little bit too much at times. I loved how simple and how clear the ideas felt during this section. I think by the time you get to here, there's just a few too many things on at once. But that's how things work, you know, with works in progress. Sometimes you build up 20 layers and then you take 5 of them away and you go, actually, that sounds better. Happens all the time. When I'm mastering, or even just when I'm working on art, you layer on too much stuff, too many effects, too many layers. You come back to it the next day and you go, you know what? I don't need those filters and those, you know, to change the brightness, contrast, any of that stuff. It's all It was fine the way it was. It's totally normal. The important thing is you've got a really good core idea there. There's a great groove. There's great melody in there. There's great rhythm and some excellent synth programming. So I would lean into that. Don't worry too much about the other ear candy and you're going to be just fine. No worries at all. Really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, there's only one more track in the queue. It is a track from Kidder that is called Fade Away, another early work in progress. So we'll listen to this while I will choose a few more tracks. I'm going to choose them from the bucket and maybe one or two from the chat as well. So now's the time to fill the chat with your songs. Let's turn this down a touch. Okay, I'm looking in the chat. So we got one from Dezette. Okay, one more from the chat. Okay, stop putting your suggestions in the chat now. I'll do Return by Youssef. This one was called Lies You Like. And we'll do one more from the bucket. That was just spam, so I'm going to choose another one. Cool. Okay, before that ends, that was really, really fun. Of course, we're going to go back and give them feedback. That last one I pulled out was Rush Master. So, no need to put your tracks in the chat anymore. I've picked a bunch. I'm just going to see what's in the queue now. So we've got another 4 or 5. Right, this track we're listening to is seriously cool. For a work in progress, let's see what we can do. Now, on a previous stream, they just got lucky. They got pulled twice. On a previous stream, I said I would master one of their songs, so we're working on that at the moment. But yeah, let's see what we've got here. I know we just listened to it. There's some dead space at the end, so I can, I'll say get rid of that. There we go. World-class feedback here. Let's take a listen. I see one in the chat that the song's called Rolled Eggs, so I'm probably going to add that to the queue as well, because that just sounds really, really silly. I love the shape of that kick drum. If anyone's listening on speakers at the moment, let me know what it sounds like on your end, but in these headphones, it just sounds, there's such a beautiful percussive nature to it. It really sounds like it hits your chest, and it doesn't just sort of like thump your ears out. It really sounds like it hits your chest. I love that percussive nature. Nice. Let's play with those vocals a little bit. I'm just going to put the vocals up a bit. Yeah, maybe a dB or 2 up on the vocals wouldn't hurt. Really, really cool. definitely no harm in pushing the vocals up. It's funny how each theme, each track, each stream ends up with a theme, and in this stream it's definitely been, let's be more confident with the vocals. When you push the volume up, you might have to compress them a little bit more if they're jumping out of the track a bit. But all is sounding really, really good. It's also funny that like week after week, the same people are sometimes getting, we've had 2 people get chosen from the bucket twice in a row, and the odds of that happening, I'm not a mathematician, but they're quite low. Let's see how this track finishes. Cool, so it sounds more like, I don't think the track's finished, I think that's just one half of the track or something, but honestly, really, really cool. Let's see. Some people are saying the kick could be a little bit heavier, so let's work with Reviver to make this kick sound a little bit heavier. I was adjusting it going, I cannot hear anything, my own plugin's broken, but actually I just hadn't turned it on. It happens to the best and worst of us. Let's play that again. Turn it on. I definitely liked what that sounded like. It was also pulling up a touch of the sub bass with it, but that was a really, really good thump there. Obviously they're not finished with this yet. I'm going to see what the kick sounded like earlier before there were too many bits. Oh yeah. I may have pushed this a bit too far so that you can hear it on YouTube. Remember, it's not the best audio quality, but I think somewhere around 85 hertz. I'm not being scientific with this. That's just what my ears were drawn to. Somewhere around 85 is giving the kick even more thump, but it's not getting in the way of those sub notes too much. Of course, I wouldn't use an EQ for this. I'd just go straight to the kick channel and adjust it there. I wouldn't necessarily do this on the whole master. And the same, you could take the kick channel and just throw Reviver on it, or you could put it on the whole master at say 5%. But these two together, just the kick just sounds so, so confident, maybe too much. But I mean, we're all in agreement that you know exactly what you're doing with the groove of the track, sound design. The last time we played one of your songs, it was just thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable. And one of the best things is that we can clearly still see that it's a work in progress. It's not like you've just uploaded a finished song that's already on Spotify. Like, we can tell it's a work in progress, and we can just hear all the creativity and everything happening there, but it's still at such a high level. So really, really fantastic. Stop popping your track names in the chat. We're just going to keep the chat for the feedback at the moment, okay? Yeah. No, this isn't AI. I'm so certain this isn't just. There might be an element of AI in there, but there's no way. I don't believe this was kicked out by Suno. I detest AI music. I have absolutely no time for it, and I listen to a lot of the stuff that's on there. And I hate all of it, so if this is a completely AI track, then you fooled me, but I don't think it is. Yeah, this is just really, really cool. I did want to take a moment to talk about Reviver, just while we're on a nice track here. Over here, it's another link in the description. This is my plugin, and it's the link in the description, Black Salt Audio. This sort of explains to you what Reviver is and what it's doing, but you can grab a free trial here. It's all on the website. You can get a 14-day free trial, no strings attached. That's what I'm using to adjust this. I thought, why not use my own plugin? It makes sense. This is exactly what it's designed to do. It's basically a transient shaper. And yeah, that's that. So I mean, a lot of people ask about it, so I thought I might as well just stop and have a chat. I just want to keep playing this track forever, but you know, we're already chatting, me and this artist. We're going to be working on one of their tracks, so hopefully we'll get that mastered and sent out into the world soon. Thanks again for sharing such a great track with us. Even if it wasn't great, it would still been great. It would have still been good, but I'm so glad that track was cool. It's really, really nice. And yeah, also, you know, some people here are saying in the chat, like, yeah, we should all detest AI in creative professions. I couldn't agree more. Like these, I gave, you know, I put this list of not artist names. I put the list of track names into ChatGPT and said, make me a list of all these songs so that I can, you know, cut them out for the bucket. That's what AI is for. It should be for boring, mundane stuff. It shouldn't be taking anyone's job. Like I could go off on such a tangent here, but I think, you know, the people developing this AI music stuff, I really want to talk with them and to let them show me, say, 3 or 5 songs that are made with AI that they love, that they play on road trips, that they play when they're hanging out with their girlfriend or boyfriend, or that they'd play at their wedding, or, you know, that means something to them, that they'd want to hear in a video game. I'd love to just ask them and say, hey, can you just show me like a track you love that's made with AI, like a core memory sort of track? And I honestly don't think they'd be able to do it. I haven't yet experienced anything AI creatively that's made me feel anything other than going, well, that's a bit cool. You know, when I see AI art, AI music, I always go, wow, that is cool that like that can be done, but I'm not feeling anything. I don't know if you're the same. Anyway, I won't completely derail things. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video. Maybe I'll make another live stream about it. But, you know, this is what it's all about. Working, not necessarily working, just working with artists, talking to each other. Just this whole creative process is so incredibly enjoyable. And there are technical hurdles. You know what? I'm not done. There are technical hurdles. There's challenges. There's things to overcome. There's softwares to learn. There's instruments to learn. But this is fun. Learning a guitar is fun. Learning synth programming is fun. It doesn't need to all be automated. Anyway, that's my rant over. But yeah. Well, it looks like people are generally in agreement. That's me though. I say rant over and then I'm like, you know what? I'm not done. I need to say more. Thank you for submitting that song. Let's jump to the next one. And almost at an hour and a half now. This is going great. So let's just see what else was in the queue again. So Dessert, this is going to be incredible. I think I picked this out of the chat, and then we've got Return, Lies Like You, and then Rush. Joywalk's also been in a previous stream as well, so that's going to be fun. Let's take a listen to Dessert. Now this is going to be loud, so I'm going to turn it down a touch. Let's enjoy. Turn that up. Good stuff. Nice easy start. Don't need that. To Audigen, yeah, I'm just adding more from the chat and from the bucket as we go, but don't worry, I'll let you know when to submit music. Yeah. a note for the last one of the previous tracks. This is how I like the left-right sort of call and answer with the synths there. There's so much I like about this track. Just jumping from left to right. Incredible. I'll let this play out. Okay, cool. Again, I don't really want to pause it. This sideband, I'm feeling this is pulling up a lot of the sides of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very far back in the mix, which is great. There's great contrast. Also, Dizette is definitely lying in the chat because they're saying that they just started creating this today, which is believable because they're at a very, very high level. But if you just started this today, that is incredible. Especially if you started it just for the stream, that really is shockingly good. So great work. This here is just, I felt those synths were just really cutting, and this just helps them cut just a little bit more, just purely personal preference. And then this was just helping that thump of the kick. Let's see how this builds up. I'm just reading the chat now. Really cool. This is really, really cool. I have a feeling that this build-up took a little too long to get there, just compared to your other stuff. I feel your other stuff had a little bit more momentum in the build-up. I might be wrong. So, you know, the chat, there's a few people asking for like, can we have live recorded music? Yeah, there's plenty of that in the folder. What I'll do is if you've produced a song and submitted it to the folder and you've used live instrumentation, just put it in the chat now and no one else put a song in, and I'll pick one of those live recorded tracks. We had one earlier, we've had them in previous streams. We'll put one with live recorded instruments in there, okay? Just let me know in the chat, just tag it and say this is live recording, and then we'll add one of them to the queue. This track, really, really good. Does anyone actually have any feedback for it? Let's see. Yeah, Dizette is saying they just started making it today, so that's totally cool. I was just joking earlier. I believe you. It does still sound like the arrangement is figuring itself out, but your sound design is always absolutely excellent, so there's nothing to do there. Okay, so the one we're going to add is the one we'll add that's live recorded. Can my mods let me know if Mellow Mystic is have they been fine in chat, or have they been bothering? I can't remember. There was someone earlier, but I'll add that if they've been fine. Just trying to keep things really, really fair, everybody, okay? And then there's another one called I'll add this one. Sartrote. Sorry, I'm just going to keep this. No, that's not how you spell it. Okay. I'm struggling to find some of these ones. Let's go to... Don't see it. ST... I don't see Mellow Mystic there. No, I don't see that track. Let me go find it again, sorry. Canator. Oh, there we go. Is that the one there? Yeah, that's it. So we'll add this one, right? So we definitely got at least one more live recorded one in the queue. No, I'm going to go to this one next. Dizette, great, great work. We can chat privately about what we might do for that. You know, I can help you master it, and we can figure out what to do with that track. But honestly, everybody in the chat just absolutely loves your music, so it's just it's nice to have it in the stream, okay? So this track This next one we're going to is Return by Youssef. Let me just open this up properly so we can take a good look at it. And they said, look, it's pretty long, so you can skip through. Very much a work in progress, but I'd like to learn how to clean things up a bit. So it sounds like they're asking for some mixing advice and maybe some sound design advice to clean things up. Nice piano, though. I'm going to turn this up a little bit so everyone can hear it. Okay, I'll skip to here. Nice and peaceful. I like that. I'm just going to see where it evolves. Like you said, it's a 10-minute long track, so let's jump ahead a bit. Right away, I can tell you these strings come in very suddenly, so I'd probably automate, get some sort of MIDI CC on those, we say the expression of the strings so that they rise up. They sound a little bit, they sound quite a bit, they sound quite synthetic compared to the piano. The piano is probably MIDI, but the piano has lovely dynamics, whereas the strings, I would say, sound a little bit synthetic. And the reason they sound synthetic is how they're being played, not necessarily the samples themselves. They just sound, it sounds like it would be difficult to play that live and have it sounding like that. So I would probably work on the expression there. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Oh, you know, Joy Walker's left a message here saying it feels like a big realization scene in a psychological thriller. That's exactly it. That's what that walking piano melody is making me hear. It's like I'm watching Oblivion or something, and they've just got to, you know, the big reveal or something in some sci-fi or thriller, psychological thriller. What contrast to the previous song as well. We get such a crazy sort of breadth of tracks. I think 90% of the work here has got to be in the automation of different parameters on that string sample library. So I don't know whether you're using Contact, I don't know what you're using, but whatever it is, I would say you're going to have to dig in there with quite a few automation clips for the expression, the velocity, maybe glides between different notes. But the chords, the melodies, the sounds themselves are rich, detailed, wide. Things sound good like that. The track is very dynamic. I think if you're playing around here, oh, we got some drums and whatnots, but going from this to is going to be an awful lot for a listener. So I would probably just reduce the dynamic range a bit. Now, I am a fan of tracks with high dynamic range. Let's go into here. I'm not telling you to just squash it until it's just a sort of mastered sausage. That might work for some genres, but that's not what you want here. I'm not telling you to kill the dynamics of the track. I'm a big fan of dynamic music, but this is just too much. If this was for a film or for a video game or something, people would be turning their volume up here and then it would blow their ears out here. So I would work on the dynamics, but yeah, I won't repeat myself any more times, but just definitely work on automating the strings, and then this is going to it's going to come to life for sure. Thank you so much for sending that in. I don't feel the need to poke holes in it with EQ or anything like that. It didn't need help like that. Yeah, but people are loving it. Yeah, someone's saying, yeah, definitely the expression and the vibrato of the strings. So what you could do as well is automate the vibrato so that at the start of some of the notes on the strings it's relatively low vibrato, and then the vibrato could become very passionate and very expressive, a larger and maybe a faster vibrato, and then you could also take the vibrato down towards the ends of the phrases. And this would be like a cellist or a violin player, a strings player. They start the note, then they pull in the vibrato, and then they just end it, and it just sounds so passionate. So it builds tension. It's just beautiful. Okay. The next track here, though, Lies Like You. This was one from the bucket, if I remember rightly. Okay. Some reverse guitar or something. All in the way you look at me, I cannot find any relief. You make me feel like it's a dream, but it's been a week since I had sleep. 'Cause I seek what you hide in the sea of your lies. Delirious, I can't see. All I am is falling deep, too deep to see how I dance, staring the seas, feeling the breeze. I hate that I've been bitten by you. A hollow boy's got nothing to prove. I bleed from all of the lies you like to tell when we're alone. Okay, this sounds it sounds like it's inspired by Eden or the Eden Project. There's a few songs I could recommend listening to for processing, like Gold by Eden would really help with the guitar and the vocal processing. But this really does sound like it's Eden inspired, and I think one of the best things you could do, because this is not a typical marriage of sounds that everyone's going to be used to. What I think, especially the vocal processing, what I think you could do is pull in a few of Eden's tracks into your DAW, really listen to how they balance their different tracks, where they create space. I'm often surprised by how clear his mixes sound, but how messy all the elements actually are. So yeah, the voice was too loud. I was pulling it down with master rebalance. There were lots of layers to the vocals, so what might have helped would be making sure that either your main vocal is the loudest and all the others support, or blending it so that all the vocals sort of build a... Sorry, it sounded like it looked like there was some sort of flickering there. Or making sure that all the vocals are blending together. Oh, it's my screen that's flickering, actually. I'm sorry if that's coming across on the live stream. I'll move that out of the way. It's not looking good at all. Cool. Now that that's over, let's see, is this person in the chat? But yeah, oh, I think I said I would add that that track earlier. Cool. Oh, people like it, but I really think the best thing I could do, if I dig in with EQ, it's just going to get a bit confusing. Let me see. Gets quite scratchy here. Okay, I'm just trying to hear what's making that scratchiness. Let me go again. What I'd say is in this area, either reduce the treble on the synth a bit or reduce the treble in the backing vocals, and add just a touch in this area, say around 2-3K. Let me see. No, the live stream's doing good. I was wondering if we were getting some lag in there or something. That's what I would probably do. I wouldn't take the whole thing down on the master like that. I would probably smooth out the vocal harmonies or smooth out that synth. Make sure there's room for just one, because altogether it's sounding a little bit scratchy, a little bit sandy in the treble. That's what it sounds like to me on these headphones though. But this is super creative, and I love the way you've stacked all the vocals. The timing sounds really good. But yeah, all good. Oh, someone said maybe it's the shaker. Yeah, it could be. Let's take a listen. Yeah, it could be the shaker as well. It could be perhaps that you've added the shaker and EQ'd the treble up, whereas maybe all the shaker needed was a bit more volume and didn't need an EQ boost. And this is actually something I used to do all the time. It's just some kind of actionable advice, is I used to pull in a track like a hi-hat. Now, I mean, this is my first like couple of months of ever producing or mixing music. I would pull in, say, a kick drum, and then I would boost the bass on the kick drum, thinking that that would help it, when really all it needed was to raise the volume of the kick drum channel. And I'd do the same with a hi-hat. I'd pull in a hi-hat, raise the treble, probably because I saw someone on YouTube do it, which is pretty much why I started my whole channel. The amount of stuff I picked up wrong out of context, that's a story for another day though. I'd pull a hi-hat in and boost the treble on the hi-hat, and then you listen to it in the mix and the hi-hat just sounds really harsh, and it never needed EQ. You just needed to pull the hi-hat in and raise its volume on the mixer a bit. And this is why I'm a really big fan of just starting with getting all the volumes right of stuff. Just once you've produced the song, just take the faders down, then pull them up one by one, get your rough balance. I know that's kind of boring. It's not as fun as just adding EQ to stuff, but it really, really is effective. Great track. I definitely use Eden as some reference tracks. Eden has so many phenomenal and interesting mixes. There's something in there that you could learn no matter what genre you're in, because Eden really plays around with incredible synth programmer for a start, but he also plays violin, he plays piano to an expert level. So there's live instruments in his music, but also the way he programs synths is just off the chain. And then his drum programming is really, really groovy, really inspired. So yeah. I know I'm saying in the mix too much. Oh well. Let's see what else is in this queue. So we have Rush by Rush by Joywalk. And while this one's playing, I'm going to pick another track from the bucket, and I'm going to pick another track from the chat, and then that's probably going to be everything for this, because that'll be another 4 tracks, and that's definitely going to take us to 2 hours. So last chance, put your track in the chat. Try not to spam, just artist name, song name, and we'll see. So this one here is Rush, and we're going to listen to this while I'm picking those names. If it'll load. Okay, here we go. In fact, I'll take one from the chat first. Okay. We'll do this one, Son of Susan, because it's rock. Oh, this is amazing. I'm struggling to find that one. Let me try again. There we go. Oh no, that was made in May, so I'm not going to add that one. Right, one more from the chat. Right, I'll do this one, Vladdy. Okay, that's everything from the chat. We'll do one more from the bucket. It's this one. All right, so let's see how this is going then. So no more tracks into the chat, please. love how progressive. It's got a real, like, this one just has so much momentum to this track. I'm going to turn it up just a touch. I love that. Fantastic. Really good work. It's just majestic. Really, really good. We've had a few majestic tracks in this stream, but it's just gorgeous. I can't let it finish, otherwise it might skip to the next one, but wow. I'm going to try to be really, really picky with this now, because clearly we all love this. It's got fantastic, I mean, not only is the mix excellent, fantastic bounce, fantastic groove, but just the propulsion in the track, the emotion in there is just fantastic. It kept me gripped. It took me on a bit of a journey. I just thoroughly enjoyed it, even without like a top line, a vocal or anything like that. It still was just majestic. I don't know. This is really, it's sort of feel good music, but it's also a little bit nostalgic. I felt maybe at this point here in the chorus that it just felt like it needed one more element, either maybe something to have been taken away here to be added here. But at this point, I just wanted one more, something else to happen. And then at the end here, I felt that the lead was maybe a little bit crunchy to be played on its own. I loved that processing in the chorus, but maybe here it was too much. So I want to go listen to the start again, see how this one gets started. And yeah, some in the chat, Sentient Cat is saying, I love how it was repetitive, but it also like wasn't at the same time. That's exactly how I feel. I just love how you're already teasing all of the synths and all the groove here. This is why it worked, okay? It's not just a piano intro. The groove is already happening here, so that when it kicks in, you're fully prepared for it, but it's still a really nice release. Lovely. These little switch ups here, where everything goes away, it collapses the soundstage and then it opens back up again. That is lovely. It prevents sort of ear fatigue. It reminds you how wide everything is. And that's what I wanted on that Ocean Acid track that we played. It was one of the first tracks we played. That's the kind of thing I was looking for in that track. Also, you know, to people that didn't make it into the stream this time, you know, there's like 150 names or something in the list. So if you've submitted it to stream after stream and you haven't been chosen, you can just send me a message and I can queue you up on one of the future streams. But don't worry, there's try to get around as many people as we can. I was feeling like maybe the distortion on this lead was too much, but it's not feeling harsh. Like it is just a cool tone. So maybe that's just silly. Does anyone else have anything else here? When I say send me a message, I mean send me a message like on Instagram or something. Don't just spam the chat or we'll time you out. Okay. Yeah. I really, really like this. I sort of already said everything earlier. I love the melodies, counter melodies. I just love where you take everything on this track. I definitely don't need to cut it to pieces with EQ. But if you feel it needs a lot more work, Joywalk, you know how to reach out to me and we can work on it. We can figure it out. No worries. I really, really enjoyed that. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think they said they're releasing it on the 21st of February. So go follow them, Joywalk. They can put their handle in the chat, their Instagram or Spotify or something. Let us know where we can find your music. It just sounds fantastic. So this was the submission who said this is all or includes lots and lots of live recorded instruments. This person asked dozens of times, or at least half a dozen times, to be included. So let's take a listen. All composed, recorded, and mixed by them. There's a video on YouTube also made by me if interested. So we were looking for works in progress, but this is probably a finished track. But let's take a listen, okay? I'll turn the volume up a touch. Also, they say be prepared to not enjoy it because it's not my style. I adore and love live recorded music. I like all the classic music you could think of, so don't think that I'm just into electronic music. I love almost every type of music, okay? Let's find this. Okay, around about here, there's a groove that's like nice and easy to follow. The guitar and the drums feel like they're working together. This previous section felt slightly congested to me. I love it when there's, especially in live music, there has to be some kind of groove for me to lock onto. That's my preference. Just hear the timing on the guitar. Sounds like it falls out of the groove a little bit. I'm going to just cut to here and then I'm going to play it with and without this EQ to see if this has cleaned things up a little bit. I'm going to go back to this. So let's listen with and without, right? So I felt that overall there was definitely room to make those drums more punchy. And then I'm trying to use the spectral dynamics to pull a bit of sort of mud out of the master. But it doesn't really work on the master because when I'm doing this, it is sort of gutting some of the good energy down there at the same time. So if I was mixing this, I would probably go to those tracks and see, is there something in some of the guitar channels, or maybe, I'm not sure, like what's happening around this area Let's just play this here. There's something there that's just sustaining. It might be a resonance from the bass, or the bass cab, or just the bass guitar being recorded. It might be something in there that's contributing to it. This is flickering again, which is really annoying, so let me get rid of that. But I felt that the EQ sort of cleaned things up a bit. Master rebalance brought the drums up, but of course I'd want to just grab the drum stem and just increase its volume in the mix. For sure, that would be the best way to handle it. Let me just check this quickly, just making sure live stream's all good. Yeah, we still got 200 people here. That's crazy. That is, you know, I never take it for granted, people waiting to get their tracks played. It is, it's a really special thing we've got in the community, especially on Discord. If you can't get your track played here, go over to Discord, which is linked in the description. Again, it's with all my links, because that's a place where there's like feedback channels and stuff. It's a bit different from this, but it's still a cool place to be. Someone here, I can't pronounce their name, but they said, does the guitar melody sound a bit choppy, like little breaks? And I would say that as well. I would definitely use Gullfoss to try and sort of clean this up, so to speak, but I don't think I can run Gullfoss in real time during these streams without it crashing. You know, we're at the end anyway. Let's try it, right? Let's go to Gullfoss. Let's do Gullfoss live. Let's see if this loads up. You know I'm a big fan of Gullfoss. Now, you know, full disclosure, Gullfoss, they've given me this for free. I've made videos about Gullfoss before, so I'm not being paid to talk about it here, but, you know, I got this one for free for, you know, full disclosure. It's like, if I go to tame, let's see what we can do. It's definitely reducing some of those resonances, but it's also kind of over brightening other stuff. So I don't know if I just throw Gullfoss on as a sort of band-aid in this situation. But yeah. Okay, so what Mellow Mystic is saying, who's the producer of this, is that there was no metronome, so all the guitar takes are pretty much like just the first takes. No metronome, just sort of feeling it. This is something where I would say, I hope the drums, I wasn't really listening, I hope the drums were recorded, you know, either are consistent or were you don't need to record them to a click. But I don't think it's that the guitar isn't played to a metronome that's really sort of the excuse. It's more just like, is the guitar locked into everything else that's being played? And it's really difficult to record maybe by yourself in a studio, but it's just about everything. I'm trying to get the right word. It doesn't need to be locked into a metronome. In fact, yeah, this is all I'm going to say. Things don't need to be locked into a metronome. You can drift the tempo throughout the song, but as long as everything feels like it's in time and is grooving and has a bit of groove, a bit of push and pull with other elements, that's what really, really matters here. And when you work on your own music, it's often really difficult to know what's groove and then what is just something being pushed a little bit too far at a time. And this one was really experimenting with how far you can push that. So thank you for sharing that one with us. Definitely a change of pace and change of sound for the stream. And I think we are on to 2 more tracks. Vladdy and then this one, Rolled Eggs. I said I'd play it at the start because why not? It's a silly name. I hope it's good. Lovely. Cool. Bear with me. I was just reading the chat. Difficult to multitask. You know, I was going to tell you, thermos sort of mugs, like these ones. It's like the only time I'm really bothered by how good a product is, because it's literally kept my tea scalding hot through this entire stream. And you know how much I love tea. As a Brit, it's literally too hot to drink from this cup. Okay, sorry, that's boring. Let's go. So, What they've said is still working on elements for the track, but the idea is here. Bass drop at 45, breakdown 140. So right, let's skip ahead. The sound design's really good. It's really clean. I would definitely go listen to, excuse me, I'd go listen to the Dezette track in terms of like the call and answer on those synthesizers. Something stuck in my throat. Yeah, that's really clean. I'm going to go to the breakdown. I'm just skipping ahead to where they've asked us to. Love that synth. And I love what the bass is doing here. This low end is really, really good. Don't have a bit more. Are these vocals AI? I'm genuinely wondering, because if they are, I can tell you've pitched them differently, but I'm trying to figure out what it is. There's a sandiness to them that I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, I think that's my dog trying to get in the studio. This is really, really good. I just want to say, son of Susan in the chat, for some reason I just couldn't find your track in the list. I'm really sorry if I just skipped over it. If you send one into the next stream, I'll queue you up first. It's sort of like a metal track, so something completely different. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I'll make sure I queue your track up. I'm really sorry that I missed it in this, but just so you know, let's keep listening to this a little bit. I felt there was a bit of a harshness at like 1.5K. But importantly, you see if I move this band up into the treble, you'll notice how closed off and sort of dry everything sounds all of a sudden. So it really was important that this treble cut is sort of like the maybe the upper mids. If I move it up, nice. I'm just going to read the track just to see that they're here. They got the vocals from Splice. Okay, cool. So it's just kind of got a bit of that baked in processing, and then you've probably added your own on top of that. Cool. I had a feeling that they weren't quite married to the track perfectly, so that's why I was thinking maybe they were AI, but I still like them though. Like, the track's cool. I wonder, what do we think about pulling in some vocals earlier? So do you introduce them at the start? Yeah, I'd say during your intro. In fact, you could probably start sort of around this section of the track, but I would say bring a memory or a hint of those vocals, maybe filter them away, tuck them under the track, maybe slice them up. Bring something in that's letting us know the vocals are coming, because whether they're Splice or AI, the track does become more interesting once the vocals are in there, I would say, generally. So I would do something that's like an echo or a memory of those vocals, something to let people know what's coming. Someone said lose the vocal was my first thought. Man, the chat is brutal. Yeah. There's some good feedback in here, though. People are commenting on like ways you can make the snare sound better, adjusting the reverb. So there's lots and lots of like actionable feedback in there. Everyone's sort of doing my job for me, which is great. And generally being nice. Just before we play our final outro song, Rolled Eggs, I just want to remind everyone, this will be the last time I say it. The screen's going to go quite bright and white now, so if you're watching at night, just turn your brightness down. I need to get this into dark mode. This will be the last time I read it. If you're watching the stream and you want to use Boombox the way I do, you want to use one of their plans that gives you more features. The top link in the description gives you access to all of this. I won't read it now. I don't want to waste your time. There's loads and loads of stuff here. It's useful if you're working on music projects or if you're a mixing mastering engineer and you want to manage all your files between your clients. The way I describe Boombox with all the stuff that's going on here is that it's better. I view it as like better file storage than something like Google Drive or Dropbox is going to give you, because it looks professional. It's got all your branding, whether you're pitching to labels or working with other artists. You can store your audio, video, any of your files there, project files. But it's also got better messaging than like iMessage, emails, WhatsApp. So I personally hate working between 6 or 7 different apps. I much prefer just keeping everything in one track. And for producers, there's also distribution. So you can submit your music to Spotify and every other track, Apple Music, Tidal, you name it, and keep 100% of your royalties. And right now there's an exclusive discount for the In The Mix community. So if you're interested, that's the top link in the description. And if you use that, that's also going to support me and this stream. So thank you very much. I'm not good at ad reads. I don't do many ads on YouTube, but I wouldn't be promoting something that I wasn't using every day in my day job. I can assure you of that. I'm actually making a video on YouTube that's sort of like an update for all anything I've been given for free or sponsored over the years. Like, what do I still use? What don't I use and why? Which is quite an interesting video to do. Most of it I'm still using. I've got so many videos on the way. I've got a new sort of compression masterclass really quick. I've got loads of fun stuff that I'm working on. But anyway, let's get to this final song, Rolled Eggs. This will play us out. I hope it's fun, right? Let's get the last of the feedback in here. I might need to turn this up a bit. I'm going to skip ahead a touch. There we go. Turn this up a touch. Oh, the stream is lagging. It's going to be okay. I'm going to skip ahead a touch. Let me go and... We got to turn the volume up. It's just too quiet. The top of that kick drum is really annoying me. It sounds really like filtered. I don't know what it is about it. There's something super filtered in that kick drum. Solid lead though, I like that. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. There's definitely worse tracks to finish the stream on. What do we do? I'd pull the leads, definitely pull the leads up in level for sure. These ones here. Unfortunately, that's also getting the top of the kick that I don't really like. It's very long to not evolve a little bit more. I know this is clearly just like a work in progress, so I'm definitely not trying to like tear it to pieces like that, but I would say this whole track, 5:30, you could probably do this whole track in like 2:30. Like, even just cut this second half off until you've really got this first half going. But some people would say get the whole arrangement out first, but I would say let's lock in on an idea you really, really love and then make some other things groove with it. It's a little bit sparse at the moment, even for a track that you want to be ambient and relaxed. It's a little bit sparse. So I would add a little bit in. Yeah, people are saying like the kick almost sounds a little bit muted. But yeah, no, that's, you know, I'm just reading the chat. Someone says there's a build up before that drop, so let's just take a quick listen. See, that's quite cool. So all of those synths, those saws, I'd say where the kick drum, the kick drum doesn't have a lot of thump, but it is very loud. So all of that build up is like, we got saws, we got everything happening. And then the release just feels more like we have a kick drum and a little bit of ambience going on and a big increase in volume. But I would say we need some more, we need a melodic release for the song. All of this cool stuff in the build up. That pluck synth, those super saws. What if you just had a kick going just over that one at the same time? Those pluck synths are building up, those super saws, that sounds really melodically rich. And then let's just go, I'll play again. I mean, I'm not going to deny there is like a certain coolness to it, but I would say experiment, save this, make a new project and try a version where that pluck synth comes back in there. That'd be really, really cool. However, Lucci's in the chat. She likes it. She's saying unts, unts, unts. So, you know, fair enough. Yeah. And, you know, people love the atmosphere. So, like, maybe I'm just being too harsh. Anyway, that was, you know, this was a nice chill track to finish the stream on. So I'm really, I mean, what more can I ask for? I'm so happy. Honestly, making these streams, I'll just go back to this just to acknowledge everyone that submitted a track this time. Doing these streams it's really, really fun. By far the most fun or rewarding element is seeing people coming back week after week. We do these every 2-3 weeks, so seeing people come back every couple of weeks, every couple of months, and we just got the same people, and I'm just seeing their level just go up and up and up, and then they're in the Discord and they're all chatting and sharing presets and sharing files and all this stuff they're working on. It's really, really cool to see, especially on the Discord, and also just chatting with people. Like, you know, I'm reaching out to some of you, we're mastering some music together. It really feels like really, really authentic. I certainly enjoy it a lot more than recording videos. So yeah, that's me all done for today. I don't have a song to play us out other than maybe I'll just play us out with Dessert again just for the sake of it while I put the thing over. But thank you so much for everybody that contributed, especially for people that chatted a bunch. If you've submitted to a bunch of streams before and you haven't been lucky enough to be chosen, just send me a message on Instagram or something, and I'll see it and I'll try to queue you up for the next time. But anyway, thank you so much for everyone that took part. Thank you for everyone that submitted music, and I'll just play Dessert to sort of send us out because we've done that before. We'll do it again. Nice. I'll skip ahead a bit. So yeah.